Hello everyone, my name is Vix, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a foxy head. Now, we all know I've done this before, but this is going to be a much more in-depth tutorial. It's going to be in several pieces. This weekend I'm only able to get out 2 videos. One will be this one, which is just the foam base, and the other will be how to make the hands, because I do not have the materials to fully finish a head right now, so you'll have to wait for that one in the future. But for now, this is how to make a foam foxy head base. Now, you can use this technique to make other members of the FNAF crew, or you can use it to make, another version of Foxy. You can use it to make your own animatronic character. But the important thing to note is that this is a temporary way to make a head. So, what I mean by that is this technique is not long lasting. It would probably last you maybe Halloween night, maybe a convention, maybe a video or 2, but it is not meant to take heavy wear and tear. Now mine is made the same way, and yes, I have worn it around a lot, but it requires a lot of upkeep. I have to constantly fix things on it and keep up with it because it was not meant to be worn for a long period of time. If you want yours to be more long-lasting, then you can add more foam to it, you can use better materials, you can do sewing and all kinds of stuff. But for right now, this is how to make a quick foxy head. If you, for some reason, are unable to get foam to make the head, you can use cardboard, but it's going to be a lot harder to work with, and it's not going to look as good, and it's going to not last as long at all. It'll last maybe 1 to 3 wears, depending on what you wear it for. But anyways, let's get right into it. So first off, you want to have your foam, and you want to draw out Foxy's main head shape. So he has, you also want to measure your head so you know how big to make it. But he has those little whisker things, and then you make sure you want to draw out where the muzzle is gonna go, because you're gonna want to have your nose and your mouth through that area. And then you can also draw out the ears before you cut it out. The ears are just, a rounded, long triangle. So they're pretty easy. And don't use crappy scissors like me. You want to make sure you have good scissors, because good scissors are important and they make life so much easier. So obviously after you draw all those out, you want to cut them out. And make sure you hold on to your scraps. You want to make sure that your work area is constantly clear. So whenever you have scraps, remove them from your area. But the bigger scraps of foam, make sure you hold on to those, because those are going to become very useful later. This foam that I'm using, I believe, is 1/2 inch foam. I got it at Joann's. Well, this foam specifically I got at Ralph's Army Surplus, but I don't know if that's everywhere. But Joann's has this too, and I have about a 1/2 yard of it that I used for this, and I didn't even use up all of it. So next you want to put it up to your face so that you make sure that it fits correctly and that your nose and mouth are out and breathable. And then you want to mark out where your eyes are This is how I do it. It's like the jankiest way to do it, but it works. And then after you mark out your eyes, you want to draw them out. Now, the way I did it is that his eyes sit above my eyes, and I'm actually looking beneath the eyes. But you can really do it however you want, but you have to make sure that there is enough room for your eyes to see through and for Foxy's eyes to sit. If you want to do more of the generic fursuit style eye, where it's like a flat eye and then you look through the actual eye instead of like the plastic ball like I have for my Foxy, then you don't need to make sure that there's extra room under the eye. You just have to make sure that the eyes are low enough so that you can see through the fabric. The next thing is to cut out the bottom jaw. I'm using the Foxy head face that I cut out to measure where the jaw is going to go and how wide it needs to be. And you want to make sure you cut out a little alcove for your chin to go so that it's not like impaling your neck. And then you can just set that aside because we won't need it again for a while. Now it's time to make the muzzle, and the muzzle, I have to cut out a piece that is about the same as the little hole that I made for the muzzle. And here I am measuring out the, or tracing the bottom jaw so that I know that they're roughly the same size. The bottom jaw is going to end up bigger than the upper jaw, just to have that, like, dangly, large jaw effect that Foxy has. And your cuts don't need to be perfect, because the thing with foam is that you can always shave off or build on afterwards, so that's really nice. The jaw, or the top part of the mouth, have I been calling it the top jaw? Because if I've been calling it the top jaw, it's really early. But you glue that on. Kind of looks like a duck right now. Foxy duck. Oh, and you want to, if you rounded the top, you want to cut that off. But you want to hold on to that piece because it could be useful later. And now, this piece that I'm using for the front of the muzzle, oh, excuse me, for the front of the muzzle is actually the piece that I cut out of the jaw. So the scraps are useful. So you want to glue that on. You glue this small piece of scrap between the two sides of the muzzle to try and like keep its form so that it doesn't like flatten out. But yeah, my Foxy didn't have much of a form to it. It's very flat, I guess, but it still worked out. And here I'm shaving off excess foam. Oh, it's time for the nose. This is also a scrap piece, and I just kind of shave it into a nose shape and then glue it right on the front of the muzzle. But you kind of have to, for the nose, since it's like around a bend, you kind of have to like squish it in there. If you want to use like a plastic nose or something instead, you can do that. Oh, there's my ugly face. And here I am measuring out my head again. These pieces are actually what's going to go on the head around mine to hold it in place. So I have to make sure that they're the right length. And there you can see how it's going to attach, sort of. It's real janky, but don't make fun of my methods. They work. You can see the nose has popped off a little bit. I'll have to glue that back on. Gluing, gluing, gluing. There's a lot of gluing. And if you put this on afterwards and realize that it doesn't fit right, which that happened to me, it was too tight, I had to add an extra piece on the part that goes around the back of my head. You can see there with the duct tape. I glued and duct taped an extra piece on to make it a little bit larger. And like I said, it's the great thing about foam. You can always add stuff, take stuff off, make it bigger, make it smaller, all kinds of stuff. Now here I'm reinforcing it a little bit around the back so that the fabric doesn't like just flop in to those holes, and so that I have a sturdy base to attach the ears to. Now my original Foxy, I actually filled in that whole area with foam, but I was trying out something a little bit different this time, where I was making more of like a skeletal like cage, I guess, instead. But it's really up to you, whichever way you want to do it. You just need to make sure that it keeps its form and there's a sturdy base for you to put the ears in. But it might be easier just to fill in the whole area and make sort of like a dome to put on your head. Gluing, gluing, gluing. And it's really just trial and error. When I made my Foxy, I made mistakes left and right, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, but I just went with it and kept adding things, taking things away, and it eventually became what it is. Now here I'm adding foam to the back of his little whisker things, so that I can make them more three-dimensional and rounder. So you can just take little triangle scraps that are a little bit smaller than the whisker pieces and glue them on to the back. That'll give it more of a 3D effect so that his whiskers aren't so flat. And then once you have them attached, you can sort of shave around the edges to make them a little bit smoother, which I'm going to be doing very soon. Getting a little ahead of myself here. Yeah, there we go. Just cut off those sharp edges. And a lot of like actual fursuit head making requires a lot of shaving. But this technique does not, because I wanted to make it as easiest and fastest as possible. Now this piece is also from scraps. I just glue it in between the eyes to give a better transition between the face and the muzzle. And a little bit more padding there too. You can also add some pieces to the cheeks to make them a little bit rounder if you want. But I did not really do that on my Foxy. Especially if you want to make Toy Foxy or Funtime Foxy, you'd have to add a lot more padding around the cheeks to have those big red cheeks that Funtime Foxy has. Them rosy cheeks. So there he is. Now here's the ears. I glued and taped a little stick to the back of them, and then I put little holes in Foxy's head, and I just stick those right in there, but not all the way down. I leave a little bit of stick there so that they have that bounce, and that's where the jaw goes. And ignore the little bit of fabric on the muzzle. I'll show you how I did that in a few videos from now. But the jaw will attach loosely to the bottom so that it dangles. The ears, I actually attach another little piece of foam inside on the bottom of the ears to keep them up, and you can reinforce them really however you want to. I like mine to bounce, so I try and do what I can to have maximum bounciness, I guess. Though my Foxy's ears are a little droopy, and you'll see in a minute I have to take them off and reattach them. See how those nose boop. Yeah, there's my Foxy after 2 years. He is going to be having his 2-year anniversary very soon. His 2-year birthday. He's 2 years old. But there you can see how floppy his ears are. Rip. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Later today I will have a video of how I made his hand and his hook, so you can use that however you want to. And remember that this is really crappy way to make a head. So if you want to make like an actual fursuit head that'll last you a while, this is not the way to do it. But it's a good and quick way to make a temporary Foxy head or any animatronic head, really, for an event or just for fun. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is more helpful than the last tutorial. And I hope you have a good one. Happy Halloween! First things first, you want to start with the bucket. Next you gotta put on the fabric. Then you put on some eyes. Gotta make sure you get that muzzle on there. He is a pirate, so you can't forget the eye patch. Now you just add on the hook and the claws. And there's your Foxy! Ta-da!